Right then, brother, I'll try and make this for you as quickly as I can. Now, you're actually probably already doing a bunch of the cues that I'm about to go through with you. I just want to make sure. So first thing is that I want to try and see if this little part here, your vastus medialis, is working along with your deadlift when you're starting that pull. And how you can try and do this is, once you get on down to the bar, is make sure that your feet are screwed into the floor. And if your feet are screwed in, you should have a little bit of external rotation at the knees. And now this guy is getting ready to go. How else we keep him engaged throughout the lift is by making sure that your shins are not traveling away from the bar on the initial part of the pull. So we are deadlifting up to meet the bar. And all I mean by that, in case it's not obvious, is if I get this up right now, the bar stays in contact with me, I'm coming up to meet that midline of the bar. But sometimes when people first start in the deadlift, I'll try and make this a little bit more obvious. They'll start off and those knees will go back a little bit and then they'll come up to meet in contact with the bar. This doesn't mean that I'm looking for you to have a really bent shin angle or nothing like that when you first start the deadlift. If you're more suited to a perfectly straight shin for that initial pull of the deadlift, that is fine as well, as long as you're keeping in contact with the bar and that your shins are still going to meet the bar and never having a point where they're traveling away. So even if I start off with this really vertical shin position and I'm right over there with a flat back, which is actually quite similar to how my deadlift stance does start off, as long as my shins are staying in contact and I'm forcefully coming in to meet the bar and we're not having any of this, then we are in a good place right there. So feet screwed in, make sure that your shins are not having a point at any point in the lift where it feels like they're traveling away from the bar. And then the last thing is one which I imagine that you already are doing right away, is trying to take the slack out the bar on that initial part of the pull. Now there's a couple of other things that we can do here that might make your life a little bit easier. One of them is just getting your stance a little tiny bit wider. So you have what I consider a really ideal position for starting off with the deadlift, but at the end of the day, if it's a little bit uncomfortable for you, you might be a little bit better just getting yourself another inch or two lower by just getting that tiniest little bit wider with your stance. Like if you look at strongmen, like usually strongmen have surprisingly wide stances for conventional. I would always consider most people's ideal stance to be like what their jumping stance is, or basically just directly underneath the hips. Like it's so much narrower than what most people go for it. And you've got a relatively narrow stance when you deadlift. So instead of going with your legs directly underneath your hips, you might want to put your ankles about shoulder width apart, so you're just that little bit wider, and see if that makes your initial pull feel a little bit more comfortable. I find that for a lot of people that can work out well. But another deadlift stance that you could try if you want to is what I would call a wide conventional stance, not a sumo, which is where your knees are just on the outside of your arms. So pulling from there, feet still relatively straightforward. It's literally just a wider conventional stance. It's not like a sumo where it's super wide with the feet pointed out. We're just looking to be literally just outside of your shoulder width. And from there, again, as long as we're not having this thing where your knees travel back in the initial part of the pull, as long as they're always staying in contact and coming to meet the bar, we're in a good place no matter what position it is that you pull from. So yeah, dude, give those little things a go. If it doesn't feel any more comfortable from the get-go, like literally if you're just working with loads of like 60 key and nothing's feeling more comfortable at all, by all means, get straight onto the blocks there. Just let us know how high the blocks are that you're working from, just so that I know. It's not a big deal about how high they are really, but just for my knowledge. And yeah, we'll get cracking. Hopefully one of these things helps out. And if you're already doing it all, I apologize. We'll just get moved forward. Tomorrow's another day. Boom. Peace out, man.